this morning I'm going to kind of share the message that I shared at camp. Our theme obviously was peace. That was at camp. And so this morning, and I'm probably going to stumble over my words a few times and all that because I just got to get my nerves out, all right? Like this is first time being up here, so kind of just got to... Thanks guys, I appreciate it. So if I stumble on my words, you're allowed to laugh, that's fine. So the theme was peace, and can I tell you, it's so cool because I remember sitting in my office maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and this word of peace and the story of Jesus in the boat when he calms a storm with his disciples kind of just hit me. And I was kind of like, we need to speak about peace at camp. And the reason I thought that we needed to speak about peace at camp is because our young people these days are going through so much. Their worlds are so full of chaos. You literally can't get away from what people are saying about the world or about culture or about you or about anything because we have this device in our hands called an iPhone. And so we are constantly in a place where we could just live without peace all the time, and our young people do. They live without peace all the time. And we know as the church that peace, like I was saying, can only come from Jesus. And so as I was thinking about this in my office, I was like, we need to preach about peace. And so this morning I'm going to preach to you peace because we need it. And our young people don't just need it, but we all need it as humans. Right? This message isn't just about the young people that heard it during the week, but maybe it's about you today because you're in a storm and you need this message. Like you need to hear from God about your situation and that he is the one who will give you peace. This story is about a storm versus Jesus. I'm the youth guy, okay, so I need to create some type of match or like death win match, you know what I'm talking about? Like where something versus something else so that I can get you to engage and then think about how Jesus overcomes something, right? And so I preached about how in Mark 4 there's a storm and it's Jesus versus the storm, and then we're going to talk about the power of Jesus and how Jesus brings us peace through his power. But the fascinating things about us as humans is we find storms really fascinating, right? When we see a massive cloud roll in that's really dark and has thunder and lightning and all these things that could probably kill us, we decide to go sit on our porch and watch it because we think, wow, this is really cool, when actually, it could be kind of life-threatening. But then we watch movies about natural disasters and stuff, right? These things that could kill us. Does anyone know, when I was thinking about this, the movie Twister kept coming into my head. Has anyone seen that? Because I went to mention it at camp and it didn't really land because it's like 30 years old or something like that. So I kind of had to quickly move on from that and get into my message. But we love the idea that something big and scary is coming towards us. I just think about the radar when it's like really red and it's moving towards you. Oh, I don't know. There's just something about it. I love it. It's sick. We are fascinated by storms. The reality is, though, that we don't only have natural, like physical storms in our life, but we also go through storms in our own worlds that are uncontrollable, right? Just like you can't control a physical, natural storm out there, sometimes there's storms in our lives that happens and within us that we can't seem to control, right? We do. We actually go through this. I'm sure we've all been through this in our life. And if you're here today and you're in a storm, I just want to tell you that it's okay and storms happen. Storms do happen. They happen in our life. And sometimes, and I've been through it in my own life, where you go through a storm and you do everything you try to possibly do in your own might so the storm doesn't wreck you, or the storm isn't a part of your life, or the storm doesn't happen, or you're trying to run away from it. Can I just say today that storms are natural and normal and they do happen. But the beautiful thing as Christians is we know the one who controls the storm. Okay, we know the one who actually created the storm and how he knows how to tame it. And so today, my message is about peace, but it's simply about Jesus and who he is in our life. It's a very simple message, but when we actually understand who Jesus is in our life and what he can create for us and give us, it changes our whole perspective. And this is what I've gone through in my own life. So my first kind of point, and then I'm going to have a verse with it, is very simple. It's peace is found in Jesus. And I know you're all thinking, Josiah, you're a genius. Really? No, okay. Peace is found in Jesus. And kind of how I want to kick this off is in Isaiah 9:6. So that should be on the screen in a second. And I just want to read this. And as I read this, or if you've got your own Bibles, I just want you to look at the titles that Jesus is given. So it says this, and I think we use this for Christmas, so this is kind of a good segue. There you go, Pastor Andrew. Isaiah 9:6, it says, For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And as you're looking at that verse, I just want you to quickly look at and think about these titles. When we think about God, I think a lot we think about his power and his might and his ability to control things. But what I love about this is it says Jesus, who isn't even born yet, by the way. This is in the Old Testament in Isaiah. What does Pastor Andrew call it? Isaiah. I don't know, because you laugh all the time at him. When we look at this, I love it because it shows Jesus' power, but then it also shows us why he's got a title of power. He's also got a title of like ultimate peace. Like it shows us that he's the one that holds that title. No one else holds that title. No one else holds the title of Prince of Peace, the one who is able to give peace, the one who walks around with peace. And so as we walk around life and we try to find peace in anything else, sometimes Jesus, the Prince of Peace, is sitting right there. And sometimes we know to go to him because he's also the wonderful counselor. Like he gives us counsel through his word and through his spirit, that it's what we need. And so I very quickly just wanted to bring that up because I'm going to use that verse, kind of weave it through the story that I'm going to speak about. And the other thing I just wanted to say is, if you're struggling to see Jesus as loving and kind, or the Father as loving and kind and someone you can go to this verse. Because it's a beautiful way to show who he is in his nature. Okay, are we ready for the death match? Are we ready for Jesus v Storm? Are we ready? Come on, all right, let's go to it. Mark 4:35-41. That's a lot of scripture. Follow me, we'll get there. So it says this. On that day when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" I don't want to unpack this whole thing, but here's what I want us to see. In verse 39, it says, Jesus, he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And the first thing I want us to see in this is just the raw power of Jesus. Okay, so the disciples were used to these seas. They were used to these places. They were fishing all the time, and so that they knew what these seas would bring. And these disciples were afraid for their life. And they saw that it was breaking into the boat, and they call out to Jesus. And here's the beautiful thing. When Jesus steps out onto the deck, he comes up those stairs, he's sleeping, he's probably just like so chill, and the disciples are freaking out. And Jesus simply just rebukes the wind and says, "Peace, be still." And in that moment, everything goes calm. And then it says, the disciples say, "Who then is this?" So the disciples in this moment, they've been following Jesus for a little while, right? They've been seeing him do miracles. They've been seeing him teach. They've been seeing him do things, and he's saying he's the Messiah. But in this moment, something different happens. So they ask, "Wow, who is this guy that can calm this physical sea completely flat with just the power of his word?" Jesus doesn't have to fight the sea, right? He doesn't have to say, "Please, can you be quiet because my friends are scared." Jesus, by the power of his word, says, "Peace, be still," and everything goes calm. You might say, "Okay, Josiah, that's cool, but how does this apply to me?" And I want to tell you that sometimes we feel a lot like the disciples trying to get water out of our boat, trying to run around, trying to find ways to calm a storm, trying to do everything that we can except to go to Jesus, except to go to the one who's the wonderful counselor, except to go to the one who is the mighty God, except to going to the Prince of Peace. And in this moment, the disciples saw who he truly was. And I want to say to you that maybe in your life, Jesus can be the one to say, peace be still, as he did that day. Maybe he can do it for you as well. If Jesus can calm a physical storm 2,000 years ago, we believe that he is risen and he is alive today by his Spirit. And maybe what you need from Jesus is a peace be still moment. Maybe you need the authority and the power and the might of God in your life for whatever's going on in here to actually go to him, read his word, spend time in prayer so that Jesus can speak into your situation, peace be still. Because he's the same God. Like, he is the same God. And today you might be thinking, well, it's cool, Joss. I need more evidence, though, of Jesus, or I need him to show up in my life, like, more obviously or something. And may I just say to you today, Jesus says in the Bible, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And so maybe you're in a storm today, and maybe you need peace. Can I ask you, give the Prince of Peace a shot. Give the one who gives peace. Give the one who walks in peace, who created peace, who is peace. Maybe you need to go to him so that he can say, peace be still. And so my very last point is to relate to this is just, where's your peace found? And actually for this moment, here's what I want to do. I just want us to close our eyes. And I want you to think about you being a disciple on that boat. You're terrified, you're scared. The wind and the waves are crashing around you. And it's just you, okay? There's not even other people in there. And then you see Jesus walk up the stairs. And you turn to him. And the waves and the sea, it's actually still crashing around you. But you know in that moment when you see Jesus that everything will be okay because he's the Prince of Peace. Because peace is found in him, not in his ability to create calm around you. He is the Prince of Peace. And so here's what I want to read to you. Keep your eyes closed. Hebrews 12 says this, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin, which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. And this is the important part as you're staring at Jesus on the boat. Looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. You can open your eyes again. And here's what I want to say to you today. The way we find peace in our circumstances and in our storms is by very simply looking to Jesus. Very simply. I can remember a day where I sat in my room. I was very overwhelmed. I can't remember why. And I simply just went to my Bible and I found this verse, which says, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. And I just felt as soon as I read this verse, that just all the anxiety, all the stress, everything that I was worried about, it completely changed because I was looking through his word and through prayer, I was looking at Jesus. Like I was looking at the one who created peace. And can I tell you, in that moment, he has a way of giving you peace that is beyond understanding. That is completely beyond understanding. On that day, my boat was being tossed and froed. And as soon as I looked at Jesus, everything became clear. Everything became calm. Everything became peaceful. And so today, I want you to know that it's true. I want you to know that he actually truly does give you peace. And maybe you've found it before, and maybe you need to go back to him to find it again. Or maybe today you've actually never found peace in Jesus before, and today's the day you need to come to him as your Lord and Savior. At camp, we had an amazing time where we had young people respond to this message, respond to the peace of God. And we had times where, like, camp's usually all about, having fun, the joy of the Lord, moshing together. But we had powerful times where we would spend almost in silence with young people down the front, just standing there like this, because the peace of God was resting upon their life. Because it's true. Because God actually comes and meets you where you're at. And so when you go to him, when he says, come to me, he gives you the peace. And so we saw this with year 7s through to 12s where God met them. And so the cool part is we actually get to hear from some of them today. And so Micah, Abby, and Stefan, if you guys want to bring your chair up. So these guys, we're just going to have a bit of a chat. I'm just going to ask them a few questions. And my phone is not on me with all the questions. There's a phone there. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. Okay. These are some lovely young people that came to camp. Micah's on the end here. Give him a round of applause. We have Abby here in the middle as well. And we have Stefan, or better known as State Farm, here at the end. Hey guys, thanks for sharing today. Really keen to hear what you've got to share and what the Lord has done. Before we kick things off though with camp, Stefan, you were a leader on Big Day Out, correct?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about what happened at Big Day Out, bro?
Hello? Yeah, okay. Big Day Out was really good. It was my first ever actually going to Big Day Out. I never went as a year 5 and 6. Had a great time. Got to see people bond, which is amazing. We did some cool activities. We made pizzas. We did some flying fox and canoeing. But yeah, I just think it was a really good time for people bonding, and can't wait for Fuse to start this year.
It's good. And can you just tell everyone what Fuse is for those who might not know?
Well, Fuse is like youth, but like, I don't know how to say it, but like, yes, thank you. Like 5, 6 is just games, food,
Yeah, it's great.
Pretty much, yeah.
Thanks, bro. Good job. Everyone give Stefan a round of applause for Big Day Out. All right, I've just got a few questions for you guys about camp. So, yeah, if you got your answers there, you can get them out now. Let's start with you, Micah. What were you expecting going into camp? What was going through your mind? Were you excited, nervous?
I was so keen. First and foremost, it was my last camp because I'm going to year 12. But I was first of all expecting to lose my voice. Last time to do that, so I had to do it. But I was also hoping and being expectant to hear God there. It's somewhere that I have in the past, and I was just open to Him. So among all the fun, just ready and waiting on Him.
That's great. What about you, Abby? How'd you feel going into camp?
I knew I was going to have a really good time because this was my 4th summer camp, and every time it was always amazing. I felt God and I learned something new, and I expected that to happen again this year, and it did, and it was amazing. And I also made some new friends and hang out with some old ones and just had a really good time.
That's great.
Yeah, camp is always good. I do recommend it. It's good to go. What I expected from going to camp this year, well, I expect to get more development and understanding relationship with God, and just having lots of fun and hang out with friends. So yeah,
that's good. And so, what happened at camp, Stefan? How did you encounter God?
I like worshiping, praying, reading the Bible. Yeah.
That's good. Thanks, bro. Pass it back to Abby. How did you encounter God at camp, Abby?
I definitely encountered God during the summer sessions, which is where we do praise and worship, and we also have a preaching or a message. On Pastor Andrew's message that we did, I really felt God there because it was about peace, because it was about how nobody can take your peace unless you give it to them, and how sinning is how you give away your peace to the enemy, and I felt God during that worship session, because especially during that song we sang, Peace Be Still, I really like the words, let faith rise up, like let faith in myself and that I can have forgiveness, like come up. I made a bracelet with the songs on because we had a lot of bead making, and and that's how I encountered God. I had forgiveness during that worship session.
It's great.
Yeah, the summer sessions are always good. Everyone is just so passionate for the Lord, and so in the praise, when we're going nuts, or in the worship when it slows down and you got that mood, and a lot in prayer during those times as well. In the worship, just listening to the lyrics and spending time in prayer with myself, with others, but also beyond that in time alone, in silence. Just away from everyone else, away from the distractions. That's a time where I really felt the Lord speak to me and give me a bit of direction and feel His peace.
That's great. Come on, give a round of applause just for those answers. And so what do you guys, and we'll start with you, Micah, what are you hoping to take from camp into this year? Or what do you feel like God wants to do this year for you?
Well, this year I'm not actually doing it. I said I was going to year 12. I'm not doing year 12. But I still feel like it's going to be quite a busy year, pretty hectic. And so one thing that I've taken away is that God's peace is always just one step away. He's always just there with His hand out, like Peter in the sea, just with his arm reached out. And when the storm's coming, like you can always just grab His hand. So definitely taking that into next year, and just that, as Andrew said, peace and sin can't coexist. So just really trying to remember that, and anytime I feel shameful or guilty, I may have sinned, like just remember that it's all good because I have His peace, and then I'm back with Him.
That's great.
For me, one thing that I'm taking away this year is same as peace, but also strength, and to have strength to go against sin and evil so that I can have that peace. And for this year, that's kind of my goal, is to stay strong with God and to have His peace so I don't need to sin, and I just kind of hold on to that. That's what I want to do this year.
That's great, Abby.
Just like experience I also remember, like hearing about peace as one of the things we're going to talk about. I thought it was really good to not be nervous. Like peace is good, so it's not making you nervous. Have a great relationship with Him as well. So spend more time with Him, be more in His presence, read the Bible more, pray more, and also trust God in my friendships and stuff. So yeah.
That's great. Come on. Can we give a round of applause to these guys? Thank you, guys. You can jump down now. How good, hey? How good to hear about how the Lord is changing young lives, to know Him, to know His peace, to know who He is.